The year was 1990. The world watched with breathless wonder as decades of political divide and mistrust between the Eastern and Western world crumbled beneath the blow of sledgehammers. The Berlin Wall came down in rubble and pieces that would find their way into museums and men's restrooms and urinals. For decades, the Berlin Wall was the visual symbol of the political divide in the world. It divided families and Germans in a very physical way. It was communism versus democracy, West versus East. It was a constant reminder of what was wrong with the world. Yet the majority of people have an incorrect perception of what has been termed the Iron Curtain. Many people believe that the Iron Curtain was a construct of post-World War II Europe. Some of the more darker imaginations have pegged it as the US and her allies simply sitting back while Stalin and his cronies gobbled up the eastern bloc of the European continent until the Soviets decided they had enough land. However, the truth is much scarier than that. On August 23, 1939, Russia and Germany signed a historic document. The doctrine of communism called for socialism to replace capitalism after the capitalist annihilated itself in a massive war. However, Russia needed buffer zones to keep the birthplace of communism safe from the climatic capitalist civil war they predicted would come. Nazi Germany, on the other hand, didn't want the Russian Bear with their untold millions and millions of troops from interfering with the spread of their own nationalistic party ideas. So the two foreign secretaries of Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia came together and created the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, a non-aggression treaty between the two powers. They separated Europe between the two superpowers. Everything east of mid-Poland would belong to the Russians, while everything west of Ukraine and mid-Poland would belong to the Germans. It was after the signing of this treaty that Germany invaded Poland, beginning World War II. Russia fought some minor wars with its northwestern neighbors, but for the most part built up their strength for the inevitable showdown between Russia and Germany. However, Stalin and his government were shocked when in the invasion of 1941, the largest land invasion of history, Operation Barbarossa, was launched. This invasion was crushing as within weeks all of the territories given to Russia were captured by the Germans, and within 6 months, nearly 8 million troops were killed, wounded, or captured. Years of fierce conflict raged in Russia, and by 1943, even with its victories over the Germans, the Russians had lost a staggering amount of manpower. The year 1945 came, and the Allied powers could see that Germany was on its hind legs. How would Germany be governed after Hitler and his company was dethroned? Between February 4 through 11, 1945, FDR, Churchill, and Stalin created a plan that would have the breaking of Germany into 4 separate zones to be governed, with Russia getting the largest zone of jurisdiction for the post-war rebuilding. It was during this meeting that FDR was able to convince Stalin to join the US in its war against Japan. However, Russia refused to agree to any terms if it meant they couldn't keep the areas that were guaranteed by the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Desperate for a quick end to the Pacific War, FDR and Churchill agreed to the terms, all of which heavily favored Russia. Of course, many of the terms were not followed through by Stalin, like giving Poland free elections. As we can see from this little video, the Iron Curtain did not grow from simply a post-war ideological split in the world. It originated from pre-war ideological goals to create a safe haven for communism. It was given form first by the Nazis and given final approval by allies eager for an end to the Second World War.